The Benjamin Netanyahu address was 10% speaking, 90% clapping. In fact, there wasn't a chair in the room that got warm for even a minute. But that was not enough for some people. The Washington Post's Jennifer Rubin said that one man in particular had not been nearly as clappy as he should have been. That is Rand Paul. Here are some of the tweets that she sent out, culled from many tweets that she sent attacking Rand Paul. So he sent out saying something that he was in support of Israel. She said, then why would you seriously contemplate containment or propose a budget that cuts aid, including aid to Israel? She said he was unenthused. He was lifelessly applauding Bibi. Oops, almost like he's been faking his support for Israel until now. Ooh, with admirable retweet numbers there. She's doing pretty well for herself on Twitter. She said Paul's staff complains that he clapped plenty during the speech. Fair. Real question should be about record and positions. But that is after multiple tweets saying that that man had not clapped nearly enough.
Yeah, I thought maybe that she meant the position of his claps. Like, okay, fine, he did clap over 50 times, that's not bad, but not enthusiastically. He didn't do enough of enthusiastic meathead claps like this, oh, let's go, BB, let's go, B-I, 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 B-I.
I would have liked to have seen a woo, 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 woo. That would have shown proper enthusiasm for a foreign leader.
No Arsenio Hall
Not
whoops
at all. And you know he watched that show back in the day.
Okay, look at how absurd this is, man. Look at how crazy this is. In America, if a United States senator does not enthusiastically enough applaud a foreign leader while in the midst of giving him a standing ovation over 50 times, not good enough. You didn't bow down enough to Israel's prime minister.
The political system in the U.S. has been dominated by Israeli lobby for a very, very long time. So much so to the fact that the American people no longer have a voice in their own government, that the Israel lobby has more power and more influence over government policy than American citizens do. But the Likud party has been an unmitigated failure as far as advancing Israeli foreign policy. They've engendered resentment from every civilized country in the world, and especially here in the USA. And Mr. Netanyahu's bad manners of trying to come to the USA without an invitation from the White House via the State Department is unprecedented, and it's very rude for him to treat our president that way.
Mike Harris, is Israel and the United States united, or is Israel serving the long-term interests of the United States in the region?
Well, let me correct the previous guest, Mr. Millett. That is, there is no peace in Gaza. This has been an unmitigated war of genocide against innocent men, women, and children in Gaza, and it's time that the world recognize it for what it is. And if slaughter is the price, you want to call that stability, then you are truly misguided. As far as the U.S. and Israel being united, the divide between the U.S. and Israel grows every single day, and it's predicated on Israel's bad behavior toward the Palestinians and towards its other neighbors. Israel is not a good global citizen, and it never has been, it never will be. In our country here, they practice sedition, and they practice espionage against the U.S. on a daily basis. And they're just not good global citizens. They don't get along with anybody. In the past 1,000 years, this Khazarian mafia has not learned anything since their empire was destroyed. They rebranded themselves as Ashkenazi Jews. They've learned nothing in all of that time. That you can't treat other people inhumanly as they do, and that's really what is losing Israel favor and credibility within the world. The fact that they are so inhumane in their treatment of others.
Joining me now to discuss the rising tensions in the Middle East, former CIA operative, head of the bin Laden tracking unit, Michael Schur. Michael, both the British and the United States have reportedly made it very clear to Israel they would prefer that there be no military action taken. What are your thoughts?
Well, we're, at least in the United States, we're pretty helpless. If the Israelis attack Iran, the power of AIPAC and the lobby here, they own the Congress, will lead to our support for whatever the Israelis do, I think. And in an odd way, Lou, it doesn't matter whether we approve what the Iranians do or what the Israelis do to Iran or not, because in the Muslim world, both Shias and Sunnis will regard an Israeli attack on Iran as being sanctioned and supported by the United States, even if we claim to the contrary. So America is on the verge of another war no one needs, and a war that can't be won by air power alone. And so it's really a gaping hole we're looking into that's a very dark place.
Bugged phones and leaking documents, it's the stuff of a spy novel, but really they're the details of U.S. government spying on its ally Israel for fear that it was waging too much power on Capitol Hill. This is the Senate Intelligence Committee chairwoman, a Democrat, says the situation in Iraq is too precarious to pull back and leave just 3,000 troops there by the end of the year, as President Obama wants to do. But Senator Feinstein has got it all wrong in Iraq, just as the president is wrong to spy on Israel. Here on all that, Michael Scheuer, good friend of the show, former bin Laden hunter, former CIA career operative. Michael, it's a pleasure. Welcome back to Freedom
Thank
Line.
you, Judge.
First thing, should we be surprised that the American government, whether it's the intelligence agencies or the FBI, is spying on our allies here in the United States of America? Or is this something that has been going on for years and we just didn't know about it until recently?
Well, if it was a real ally like Canada or Britain or Australia, we would be surprised. But it's a pleasant surprise to me to find out that the FBI is spying on the Israelis. The Israelis are certainly an immensely malign influence in the United States. They steal our technology. They suborn government employees to spy for them and transfer documents. And certainly their influence through U.S. citizen groups like AIPAC on the Congress is politically corrupting. So I think they're perfectly correct to be spying on the Israelis.
Well, what does Benjamin Netanyahu say to President Obama the next time they meet? Why are your people listening to my phone calls? That was me talking to the ambassador while some agent of yours was listening.
Well, Netanyahu will just tell the president what to do and what not to do. That's what Israeli prime ministers do to U.S. presidents. And what will happen in the Congress is the congressmen and women who are owned or at least bribed by AIPAC and other U.S. citizen organizations that support Israel will threaten the FBI with budget cuts or manpower cuts if they don't stop watching the Israelis.
Got it.
Israeli treachery continues. Dozens of Israeli spies have been caught in the United States since the Liberty attack. The most famous was Jonathan Pollard. Even according to the Jewish-descended Secretary of Defense at the time, Caspar Weinberger, the Pollard spy case was the most damaging spy case in the entire history of America. Pollard stole top-secret information on American intelligence operatives and agents in Eastern Europe. The Israelis, in a supreme act of treachery against America, sold their names to the Soviets. Israel directly caused the murder and torture of hundreds of our intelligence agents in Eastern Europe. Some spout that Israel's our only friend in the Middle East. A friend doesn't make terrorist attacks against you, doesn't kill your brave young men, doesn't spy on you and betray you. With a friend like that, you don't need any enemies, and the only reason we have enemies in the Middle East at all is because of support for the terrorist state of Israel, which has brutalized the Palestinians and other peoples in the Middle East for over half of a century. It is not in the American interest to support these Jewish terrorists, a small part of the population of the Middle East, and make enemies of nations with the energy resources so vital to America.
Who all is here, just out of curiosity? Oh, I can see the rats have all come out of the woodwork to be with you here. Well, that's good to see. There is no excuse
for what you did,
for the breaking of a law. Never. There is an explanation, however. Not an excuse, but an explanation.
And that explanation is?
I can give you a number of soft reasons why I was motivated to do what I did.
Soft reasons?
Soft reasons, having to do with a family that was destroyed in the Holocaust, having to do with the realization that this government in the 40s had abandoned the Jewish people to its fate in Europe. My sentence did not reflect proportional justice. It reflected political vengeance, plain and simple.
Among the men who prosecuted you are Mark Richard, Deputy Assistant Attorney General, Stephen Spivak, former Chief of Special Prosecutions, and Abe Sofair, State Department's lawyer. These are three of the chief prosecutors, all of them Jewish Americans.
Yes, and there were
Anti-Semites?
And there were capos also during the concentration camps.
Wait. There were Jewish capos during the concentration camps.
Is
that what you're saying about Richard, Spivak, and Sofer?
As far as my personal views are concerned, with Judge Sofer and his involvement in this case, I find it less than admirable.
Why did you sign the plea?
My wife was being held hostage.
How do you mean?
I was told directly that if I did not cooperate by signing the plea agreement, the medical care that she required at the time, basically to live, would not be provided her.
How would you describe the year and a half so far that you've spent in prison, Anne?
I think the only comparison I can make to it is that of what Auschwitz must have been like 47 years ago, in terms of medical treatment, in terms of abuse.
Like if you were going to deny treatment or give someone poor treatment, would you spend tens of thousands of dollars, of the taxpayers' dollars, to send her to one of the finest medical establishments in this country, in the world perhaps?
Well, of course they have to say I'm lying. It seems to be the standard form here in the Bureau of Prisons.
You've compared this to Auschwitz.
Yes, I did.
It's...
And I have not finished telling you the medical atrocities that were extended to me.
But this is not a concentration camp.
When I have to go back in that cell right now, and I have to try to live with myself.
For the rest of your life, perhaps.
God willing, it won't be.
Spy accused of passing classified documents to Israel will be released from a federal prison in Butner, North Carolina.
In fact, Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu says Jonathan Pollard has already been released to his family.
Well, to discuss this further, let's go to Los Angeles and talk to James Morris, editor of America-Hijack.com. Welcome, sir. Mr. Morris, first of all, how much does the release of Jonathan Pollard show that Washington is somehow trying to smooth relations with Israel after what appears to be a conflict of opinion between the two allies over Iran's nuclear program?
Well, thank you for having me back on Press TV. What the release of Jonathan Pollard really shows is the influence of the Israel lobby. Yet again, you've got the U.S. intelligence services, and there are many patriots in America First patriots with the U.S. intelligence services who have been against the release of Jonathan Pollard, because I was just in touch with a friend, Phil Giraldi. He was a former CIA directorate for Turkey, and he had mentioned that it is believed that Jonathan Pollard has a photographic memory, and that the concern with the U.S. intelligence services is that he has in his mind, possibly, much more than what has been conveyed in the documents that he leaked to Israel. And that is the concern. Yes, his parole is up, or his probation is up in November, the end of the year, but the situation is this. President Obama and the Obama administration does not have to release him. And so in doing so, if this is the case, and the New York Times has reported that it is with other media, the Obama administration is going against the suggestion and advice of the U.S. intelligence services, and that is not to release him. He should be in prison for life. If I had any say in it, he probably would have been executed. He was a traitor.
Does Israel continue to spy on the U.S. at large?
Well, of course. I mean, that's another reason that some suspect that the U.S. intelligence services had had enough and have taken it out on Pollard. Keep in mind the Israeli Hollywood producer, Arnard Molchan. He was the handler for Benjamin Netanyahu smuggling nuclear triggers to Israel from America. So we see Netanyahu here in front of an Israeli-occupied Congress, thanks to Jewish donors like Sheldon Adelson and AIPAC and the rest of the Israel lobby, the neoconservatives, which are the upper echelon of it. But Israel has continued to spy well after the Pollard case. So like Israel lied with the USS Liberty attack when they said that was an accident. We knew that was deliberate. They've lied about the continued spying.